Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw for Insider Travel Report, and today we're talking with Brian Schultz, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Cruise Planners. A couple weeks back, I was at the Cruise Planners CP World Conference, and boy, every time you go to Cruise Planners, this guy here, as well as the whole team at CP, just keeps unveiling more innovations, more new programs, more new technology to help the advisors who belong as part of franchise group to cruise planners. And we're going to talk about some of this stuff, including some really interesting stuff involving artificial intelligence. And you're going to hear about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Brian, great to see you. It's been a couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, great to see you as well. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, well, I wanted to definitely talk with you. We've talked to Michelle and we've talked to Teresa, and uh, part of the team, you and then Scott, are really important to cruise planners. And you basically get up there at CP World and tell them all the stuff you're doing for them. And it is amazing. Every time we go there, we're constantly amazed at the new technology you develop. Now, we're going to talk about a bunch of things, but we're going to start off with, one thing that every is on everybody's mind, artificial intelligence. And you announced something last year, but now this new, you're calling Ask Max. And I'm not talking about the dog that represents CP a lot. Max is the mascot of CP, but Ask Max is really a customized AI feature that you are getting ready for your advisors to work and learn. And it tell us, what is it? What is CP? What is Ask Max?
So, when we actually rolled out last year, James, as you well know, a sort of a version of ChatGPT for our travel advisors. And one of the strategic decisions we made when we did that was to kind of put it inside of the tools that they use every day. So you'll probably hear me say a bunch of times the word workflow. So we wanted to put something in their workflow because, as your audience knows, travel advisors' time is very precious, right? We don't want them to be spending time doing things other than, working on servicing their customers, booking, and all of those sorts of things. And while that's great, and ChatGPT has become ubiquitous out there, a lot of us use it on a daily basis. One of the challenges is that it's not all that customized to a particular brand or to, more importantly, the tools and services that that brand offers. So once we launched this tool last year, I immediately got to start thinking, what could we do in leveraging AI to better enable our travel advisors, specifically with the things that are most relevant to them? And so we started this journey almost about a year ago, right after our last conference. We started working on what Ask Max is, and the intention was to provide the advisors with a very convenient tool baked into the tools they use every day, that when they have a question about something, and I can talk to you a little bit about what something means,
Right.
that our AI would actually respond. So we started with four different key topics. The first one was destinations. We get a lot of questions, whether it's directly to our home office team, to other advisors within our network, on our socials, and things like that, about different destinations. Hey, what is there to do in this place? What's the best time to visit this place? What's the weather like here? So we actually have a license agreement for some destination content. So the first thing we taught our AI to do was to learn about the destinations around the world. And it
Right.
seems simple, but what it allows our advisors to do is make that be their first point of contact. So if a customer calls them and says, "I'm interested in a destination," let's say Japan, for example, if they've never been, they don't really know much about it, they can ask Max questions about it. They can ask it, what are there to do there? What are the top tourist attractions? And they can be more specific. Somebody who's intercultural, or different types of experiential things within that destination. We can provide answers. Maybe they're into more commercial things, shopping and whatnot. So we taught it that. Then we taught it a little bit about our partners. A lot of
Yeah.
questions we get asked is, what commission does this partner pay, and what destination does this partner go to, and who's the point of contact for the groups department within this cruise line? So we taught it everything about our partner relationships, including the commission rates, the contact points, the products that they sell, the destinations that they service. And then in addition to that, we also have an intranet. We call it CP Genie. It's our internal sort of knowledge base. And sometimes we find that people don't like to jump into the knowledge base because it's a little bit out of their workflow.
Right.
But now you could just ask the bot, and Max will tell you anything that's in our internet. It'll respond to the advisor directly with that information. And the final thing was sailings. You guys know this as well as anybody. When you go to search for particularly a cruise, it can get quite complicated. Does it go to this port? What time of year is it going? What's the duration? What kind of categories available? Do we have any pricing advantages and whatnot? So rather than do that through our traditional cruise search, we taught the bot about every future sailing, and every day it updates to know where we have price advantages, what ports does it visit, what suppliers providing it, what commission can be earned. And so now, instead of it being sort of a point and click to try to get to that search result, you're now asking more what we call natural language questions. Hey, Max, I have a client interested to go to, the Western Caribbean next summer. Give me 5 sailings that are
Yeah.
within 7 nights. And it just makes that experience a lot more interactive, and I think a lot faster on behalf of the advisor.
No, that's great. And that's really impressed me when you first did that. And then, of course, Michelle Fee, your founder and CEO, then just said, well, what if I'm trying to remember this program we have because you got a million names for programs. And she
Right.
asked Max about that. But I have to tell you, I think a lot of people are using third-party AI solutions. Obviously, there's different versions and paid versions of ChatGPT. And I mean, I've lost count of how many other AI tools there are in the market today. Everybody's got one, but you're for the purposes of the travel industry, I'm very impressed by what you've done here with cruise planners because
Well, thank you.
this is something I've seen a few. Believe me, it's the hot topic, the topic du jour, as they say, AI. And it's all over the place, and everybody is trying to figure out ways to benefit. But
And we thought it was really important, James, that you know, we want to keep it with what they're doing, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, we don't want something where they have to go buy a license, leave our platform, and
yeah,
then take that information and then convert it into whatever they need. So now with these AI tools, and they're super powerful, right? They could do so many things. And, I'm sure you've gotten this question a million times about the risk it presents to the travel advisor.
right.
And I've been very bullish, and I believe this very strongly, that a good AI is designed to be that assistant to get you the information you need to help you recraft a message to a customer, to find out that bit of information that helps make that buying decision on your customer's part that much easier. And I think that has to be part of the workflow that the advisor's doing. So pop it up, ask your question, get your answer, move on to the next thing. And I think that's really, that's the direction that we're taking with it.
No, absolutely. And it really is, you really have customized it with the information that is from cruise planners. That's the problem I have with AI is because whatever you get out of it also depends on where
I will
it
get into it.
searches
Right.
to
Right.
get
Exactly.
into it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's not correct.
Yes,
And so,
absolutely. We've seen a lot of that, unfortunately. But and it'll get better, but you can never replace your own stuff, right? You can never replace your sort of curated list of information, and you want to feed the best information you can to the advisor so they are actionable steps they could take from it.
absolutely. Now, based on the response that you heard, and you was there for a few more days, and then how quickly do you think Ask Max will be adopted by your CP member advisors?
So it's
Were they impressed and they want to do it?
Yeah, well, they were obviously super impressed, super excited about it, and yeah, it's been a runaway success. I actually get to see logs every day of how much usage our tools get, because I'm kind of sort of obsessive about if we build something, we want our advisors to use it. And Ask Max, it's only a couple of weeks old, but it's been used thousands and thousands of times, and the variety of questions that are being asked of it really speaks to what we were talking about earlier about the different challenges that face an advisor on a daily basis. It could be product. It could be partner related. It could be destination related. And the fact
Right.
that we can provide that to them. What I told our network, and I continue to say to our network, is this should be your first stop, right? Before
Yeah.
you start going on Google and searching for something or trying to, go through a Facebook group of other travel advisors, start here, right? Get that information. And the more they use it, the more the system learns, and it actually improves its response time. It improves the quality of the response that it gives. And it's just the beginning because we have a lot of plans of different things that we can empower the advisor with through this technology in order to make them, again, as efficient as possible. Because that's what we don't want these things to be impediments. We want them to say, oh, yeah, I could just ask Max that question as opposed to all these other outside steps. And so far, the response has been phenomenal. We're super happy with it. But I always temper that with, wait, there's going to be more, and we're going to do
Yeah.
even more stuff with it.
That's great. No, it's really was very impressive, and again, it's a solution that I think you've got you're ahead of the game here on for this AI. Now, I want to
Thank you.
shift to another topic because the other one of the other tech advances at CP World that got a lot of applause was VAX integration. And
Yep.
now, when advisors can go retrieve a booking they make through VAX, it's the Tricep Solutions
Yep.
part of Hyatt now, actually, but
Yep. Yeah.
directly, and they can go integrate all that into the CP Max booking, and obviously that's going to save time. I didn't realize that they were actually manually inputting
Oh yeah.
all the
Yeah.
same information. So what's the impact of that?
So this is one of those things that it seems like a small thing, but you were there, James. You saw the response to this. You know, VAX is a big partner with cruise planners. We do a lot with the ALG family. We do a lot. Our advisors are very partial to that platform, and it's a great platform, and we're excited to be partners with them. The challenge that we've experienced over the years is that when you book sort of even if it's not a complicated booking within VAX, there's a lot of data that you have to then input into our platform in order to receive your commission, right? Because everything sits inside of our platform. So what this VAX integration allows us to do is to take something that legitimately could take 15, 20 minutes on the behalf of the advisor and cut that down to 30 seconds, maybe
Wow.
even less, depending on the complexity of the booking. But it's very straightforward. They go in, they type in their confirmation number, they choose the partner that they book through, FunJet or Delta Vacation, whoever it is. They put that in, and then we extract the information from VAX directly, set everything up exactly as it would need to be in our platform, and all they have to do is approve it. And that just fills out everything. It means quicker commission payments because there's no risk of error. It means accuracy in terms of what's going to be presented to the consumer on their invoicing. It just makes everything that was complicated, a little kludgy, and it just smooths all that out. And just like with AskMax, we've had great responses to this. We have, some of our biggest VAX users are sending me lovely emails telling me that all of a sudden I'm gaining hours in my day that I didn't have
Yeah.
because I was spending so much time on the data entry side.
Well, I have to tell you, I was at a Send conference last week, which is ALGV's big conference with about 800 travel advisors. And I was at a press conference with Ray Snitsky, and I said, I got to tell you, last week I was at Cruise Planners, and one of the biggest applauses was about this VAX integration. So they
Yeah.
were happy to hear that too.
Yeah, they've been a great partner to work with. Our hope is that we could do other types of integrations with them, maybe pull some of their product into our platform as well. But this was the biggest pain point for our advisors because it's just everything that takes time away from doing what they want to do, which is to sell and discuss travel with their customers. Data entry is not the most fun thing to deal with. So if we could
Oh,
smooth
of course it
that.
is, Brian. What are you talking about?
No, I think that for us, and you probably saw it in terms of the announcements we made at our conference, all these little things that save you time, they
Yeah.
really compound. And when you go back and you reflect on what did I get accomplished this day, if half of your day was, inputting information or searching for information, it's not an efficient way of working. So this ALG, this VAX specific integration has been really well received, and to this point, it's been, like I said, it's been really successful. Our advisors love it. Frankly, there's been no complaints so far, which I think is a really good sign.
Well, and you've also become, even since COVID, really a major book of land vacations,
Yeah.
all inclusives, obviously through VAX and tours and packaged vacations. I mean, I think you really have ramped up your sales. I mean, everybody thinks of you as just cruise sales, but Michelle Fee tells me you are really getting up there in terms of all inclusive
Yeah,
sales.
we are and have been the number one seller of sandals in this space for a long time. And I know, to your point, people always assume, well, cruise planners, you probably only sell cruises, but we do a lot of land, whether it's a Score Tour, FIT, Disney, anything that you can think of, we could do. And VAX was and is a huge part of what our advisors use from a tool set perspective. So it made sense to do this. It made sense. It wasn't an easy lift to integrate the two platforms,
Yeah.
but it's one that we think will pay huge dividends on behalf of the advisors.
So you mentioned you try to do small things that help save time for travel advisors, and two of those things, which actually sound small, Maxx Snippets and Maxx Shortcuts,
Yep.
they also got some applause because tell us what those tools do.
So it's, both of these are kind of one of those scratch your head, why didn't we think of these earlier type things? So Snippets is really was born out of, we get a lot of feedback from our network. We're very we really encourage feedback from the different agents within our network because they have all different backgrounds and skill sets. And a very common thing that would come up would be some of our bigger producers were saying, you know what, I use the same terminology. I put it on my invoices. I put it in my proposals. I use the same, and I keep it in a Word document. And then if I'm not with my computer where that document exists, I don't have access to it. The other thing is then I have to share that Word document with my associates or other advisors within my franchise. So snippets is really a very simple concept. You write out whatever content you want, you format it however you want it, and you store it within our platform. And then whenever you're going to use any of our tools, you'd have access to this snippet. It's a little interface that pops up. You could search through it, you could filter it, and then say, okay, I want to take the snippet and put it in, like I said, to an email, an invoice, a proposal, really anything, a web page if they wanted to, anything they want. It's just a very simple tool, but like we were just talking about, just embedding that within their workflow is a huge time saver because they, oh, where did I put that document?
Right.
And how do I access it? And then the other thing we did was we made it shareable across an individual franchise. So some of our franchise owners, they may have several other advisors within their business, and they may say, oh, you know what, anytime, you sell a suite, I want you to, write this little paragraph about, how much we value you as a customer. They write it and they share that snippet to the rest of their advisors, and then those advisors can take advantage of it. So it's sort of a communal collaboration tool on top of that. Now, shortcuts is another one of those. I cannot believe we didn't think of it earlier. I think the best comparison I would make is it's very similar to having a bookmark in your web browser, right? We all bookmark sites that we go to. So what we did is we took all the tools within CP Maxx, and as you know, James, we have thousands of different features in it.
Yeah.
And we made it so that you can now create your own list of shortcuts. And those shortcuts are accessible throughout the entire platform. So if you're always, for example, using that VAX tool, before you'd have to go a couple of clicks in to find the VAX tool. Now, if you use it regularly, you just add it to your shortcuts, accessible everywhere throughout the system. Super convenient, super quick, and then they can manage it, and it's managed again at an advisor level. So each advisor can have their own set of shortcuts versus anybody else within their franchise.
Okay, so that it sounds like a great shortcut. And actually, it seems to me you got to look at Ask Max because some of the stuff you're talking about could be generated by
Absolutely.
AI,
It's funny. It's funny because a lot of these new tools, they're asking Max about these new tools. It's kind of like that little dog chasing its tail analogy. So it's yeah. And to your point, a lot of these things, these shortcuts or different things that they might need, we're going to empower Ask Max. So if they don't want to look up their snippet, they could just say, "Hey Max, what's the snippet that I called this?" And it would spit that out. So again, we're all at the very beginning of this AI journey. I think we're a little bit further ahead than some of our colleagues in the industry, but we're going to be pushing the gas pedal on this stuff because I believe very strongly that this is the future for travel advisors, being lean, efficient, quick, turning around proposals quick, beautiful, professional things so that they can get their customers engaged and put them on amazing vacations.
That's great. Now, you also introduced something, and you have to explain this to me because I think I don't, my notes don't explain it. Bucket enhancements.
Yeah.
This is if you have, how do they help your advisors and their clients better plan travel experiences in the future?
So buckets is something that existed within CP Maxx or exists within CP Maxx and has for a number of years. Here's the way I would describe it. So have you ever gone on to Amazon and you're looking at something and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put this on my wish list, right? So, and you've seen this before where people do this like wedding registries and whatnot. Well, within our platform, within CP Maxx, any travel that you could think of, cruises, tours, even things like Viator, we present all those different travel options and it can get a bit overwhelming. And right, the advisor might be just doing some quick research. So we have this ability to say, you know what, drop this in a bucket. So you're just clicking on the item and saying, stick it in a bucket, put it in a little container for me on the side. And yeah, I can name it and I can put it in a folder and I can do different things. But over the years, we've had, I think, close to 200,000 items put into buckets over the past, say, 3 or 4 years. And it became sort of overwhelming to manage all of that. So some of the enhancements we made was to organize it a little bit more efficiently so they can access it. But probably the biggest thing we did was it just became easier to add to a bucket. So imagine you run a cruise search and you're presented with 200 different sailings. You're just scrolling through, tapping it, saying, add it to my bucket, add it to my bucket, add it to my bucket. And then what you can do with that as an advisor is you can then curate it. You could say, you know what? Nah, I don't think this particular sailing is a great fit. You can kick it out of the bucket. Or if the bucket is exactly what you want, you can bundle that and send it to your customer and say, here are the options I've come up with. Now, the advantage that that presents is that we all have those tire kicker customers who say something very vague, like, I want to go to the Caribbean next year. Well, there's a lot of sailings that go to the Caribbean. You can now just kind of tap on, a few of them and say, okay, here's a few. Any of these spark your interest? And that kind of gets the conversation started, right? So now you can do that much more efficiently, and the management of it is more efficient. And we've already seen a huge uptick since we've done this in terms of the usage of the buckets. And the nice thing about buckets is two additional things. One is it's not just for a specific travel type. I could combine tour options with cruise options with day excursion options. I can put that all together and build trips for my customers and then let them decide which is the right fitment for them, right? And then the other thing that's great about it is that we can actually deliver that to them inside of their mobile app. So a consumer, we could tell them, hey, I've just updated your buckets. The customer can open up their mobile phone, click on there's an icon that says buckets, and it'll show everything that I've put in there. And as I make changes as an advisor, they see those in their mobile app. So we look at that whole planning experience, that whole experience of putting different options together as much quicker. And again, each moment we save them in terms of time is more time that they have to do the rest of their business. And so that was sort of the main impetus as to why we made all these different enhancements.
That's great, and it's going to be a lot easier. Once again, a time-saving tool for your travel advisors. Now, I also want to talk to you about a couple of years ago. You or last year introduced Navat Trip,
Hmm.
which is your hotel booking tool, which I think
Hmm.
you developed with a partner, but it really is not. It is specific to you. It is they have access to thousands and thousands of hotels. But this year, you also made some enhancements to that tool to make it easier for CP advisors to book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Navat Trip is a partner where we have a very strong relationship. We do a lot of development in tandem with Navat Trip. They have access to millions of hotels all over the world, and they also have an engine that levels the pricing, kind of similar to like a kayak or one of
Right.
these Booking.com, which takes the best price, works within the margins to find the best price for an advisor, right? So it's not necessarily you're going to get the best deal as a consumer, but as an advisor, you have really, really deep margins, which allows you to get great commissions on it. So we introduced it, as you mentioned, last year. We've been working with them for a long time, and we have a roadmap of enhancements for cruise planners advisors relative to Navitrip. But the one we just rolled out, which you're referring to, is now our advisors can choose several different hotel options, bundle them together, and shoot that over to the customer. But what's
Wow.
really powerful is the customer can now say, yeah, that looks great. I want to book that hotel. And they can self-service the entire booking. So the advisor sends it to the consumer, and then the consumer does the transactions. They can choose their room type, the rate
Really?
they're interested, and actually book the entire experience right through the platform. And before it was all sort of manual. They would have to say, yes, I'm interested in this property, and then the advisor would have to actually go out and buy it. The problem with that was that if they said yes, 7 p.m. the night before, the advisor gets it the next day. Well, the room may not even be available, or it's
Right.
available and the rate has changed. Now the consumer can actually self-book that entire experience.
And that's through the tools you provide. So
Yep.
with direct to consumers, so they actually book the hotel.
Yep.
And also, I suppose the same thing is they can book it while the travel advisors is asleep or
That's
whatever.
exactly right. We always say make money while you sleep is the best way to do it.
That's right. So that's great that you have that, and because it isn't sometimes I just want to book a quick hotel somewhere and
Right. And think of it from the advisor's perspective. If it's like I'm gonna go, I gotta take a quick trip up to New York, for example. I don't really want as a travel planner, I don't really want to spend too much time. So I could pick a couple of hotels, shoot it out to you. Maybe I've spent 5 minutes doing research, but hey, that commission check when it comes in after they book it is fantastic because it's all just baked into the process. They don't have to do too much beyond that.
yeah, well, I thought when you introduced Navitrip, I thought that was a great solution for you.
Yep.
Everybody's kind of doing these hotel booking tools
Yep.
because we have to compete against the big guys with basically I always tell people, do you know what is the big money maker for the OTAs is hotel bookings. It
Yep.
isn't air, it isn't cruise, and they make a lot of their money, a good percentage of the money through just doing hotel bookings. That's it.
And the beauty of the relationship with Navat Trip is that we work in partnership with them. So they actually announced even at our conference that they're even more deeply commission options are being presented. So they work to get the best commission for the property. We provide the tools and services to facilitate that, right? So it's a win-win for them. You know, it's a win for the consumer, it's a win for the advisor, low touch, easy commission. And then for NaviTrip, the more obviously the bigger the volume, the more they can get more commission to the consumer or to the advisor. So we have a lot of plans. They're a big part of our 2025 agenda because we have a lot of
Yeah.
different things on our agenda. But it's a great partnership, one that is really bearing fruit, and our advisors love it. I mean, it's just an easy way to you know, those little 2-3 nights going to Vegas. I mean, it's you know, it's a very easy transaction, and if you get a check for that, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I'm looking for that one of those right now because I got to do an interview in Vegas possibly next week. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking for a low cost to
I'll
Vegas.
find you a good rate. Don't worry
There
about
you
it.
go. There you go. I need it. Now, what's to come for cruise planners? I mean, every year at your conference, you just kind of wow everybody by what you're doing and all the different technology tools you've introduced. I mean, it's funny because you have almost as many, you have more technology tools or equal amount to your consortia, co-op, Signature Travel Network. And my friend Karen up there, who's head of their technology, is always giving us a whole spiel of, and you've probably been at her presentations where she's doing like you guys do, telling about all the new technology. After a while, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
the eyes glaze over, but it's all great stuff. And so, what are you going to focus on in the next year?
So I wish I would pan my camera down to see the list of things that I already have planned for the year. But you
Well, at
know,
least it keeps you employed. I tell you that much.
exactly right. Job security has not been an issue for me. The reality is that my perspective, James, is that we are a pioneer in innovation when it comes to technology in the travel space in particular. So while we have a laundry list of things we want to do over the course of 2025, I think you'll see similar trends. We're going to focus a lot on incremental dollars that we can earn from these types of transactions, hotel transactions, making that really self-service, allowing that. Two big areas of focus that we're going to really put energy into in 2025. Number one is continue on the AI front. We're going to spend more dollars, more resources, more innovation on AI and figuring out how we can best leverage this technology as it advances. How can we take advantage of that on behalf of our advisor? And then second, and probably equally important, is mobile. We have mobile app for both our consumers as well as our advisors. But we believe that it is going to be, if not already, the primary way that a consumer engages with our brand. And so what we want to do is empower the consumer with really cool technology that just sets our advisors apart from anybody else, because
Right.
they would say, okay, my consumer, look, they have access to all these deals and these specials, and they can manage their vacation, and they can see vacation options and proposals all through their mobile technology. So those are two areas that I think we'll probably put a lot of our resources towards. There'll be a few things throughout the year that we'll probably sprinkle in there, a few surprises, but yeah, definitely mobile and AI are at the forefront of what we're going to be doing.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Brian, about
You
all
as well.
things going on with technology and with CP. I'm expecting us to be wowed next year, so you better get ready. Uh,
Yep, I'm gonna definitely get started on it for sure.
Yeah, so it is you guys are at the forefront of technology with travel agencies today. I want to thank you for taking some time out of your off your busy list because I know you're checking it off. And I really do appreciate you telling us all about these wonderful innovations. The AI is on everybody's lips now, and you have found a solution that I think really works, and you're going to enhance it further. So again, thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking with you, James, and being part of this presentation with your audience. Love it. Thank you so much.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.